Okay, let's dive in. Have you ever picked up an old text, maybe something really dense, historical,
Uh-huh.
and you just get that feeling, like the words you're reading, they're just the surface.
Right, like there are hints, patterns underneath it all.
Exactly. Hidden patterns, deeper meanings, like a whole secret language just sitting there.
Yeah, encoded right into the lines waiting to be, I don't know, unlocked.
That feeling, that's exactly what we're about in these deep dives.
Mm.
We take source material, like the text you've shared with us, and we try to pull out the core insights, the really fascinating bits.
Kind of a shortcut for the listener, right? Get them up to speed on something complex.
Precisely. So today's deep dive, it's into something called the Shem Ha-Mephoresch.
Often called the 72-fold name of God. It's a big one in certain traditions.
And our source, our only source for today, is this document we have, ShemHa-Mephoresch.pdf.
Right, we're sticking strictly to what's in this text.
That's the mission. Unpack this system exactly as this document lays it out. How does it say the name is derived? What connections does it make? Divine powers, angels?
And the symbolism. There's a lot of symbolism packed in there.
Yes, exactly. But only what the text itself presents. No outside interpretations today.
Got it. Focused on the source.
It looked like a really intricate journey into a specific mystical framework. How scripture and divine names get interpreted through numbers, letters, cosmic order.
And yeah, potent symbolism. It ties it all together.
So settle in, everyone. Let's start this deep dive into the Shem Ha-Mephoresch, exploring the details in this text. Okay, so with a system this complex, where does the source even begin?
Well, it starts right at the foundation with the core divine names it builds on.
Which are?
It brings up YHVH, the Tetragrammaton, the sacred four-letter name.
Right, often considered the most holy name in Hebrew tradition.
Exactly. And then right away it introduces another name, Adonai.
Adonai, meaning my Lord.
That's the one.
Oh.
And the text says something specific about their relationship. It calls Adonai the representative and key of YHVH.
Representative and key.
Yeah, and it says Adonai is bound with the former, meaning YHVH, and united thereto.
So not just two separate names, they're presented as, what, intertwined?
Deeply linked, yeah. Like two aspects of the same thing almost. And the text shows how they combine.
How so?
Not just side by side. It says they interweave the letters. Yod Aleph He Dalef Vav Nun He Yod.
IHHDVNHY. I see it. YHVH interwoven with AD&I.
Exactly. Forming this single 8-letter name.
Okay, an 8-letter name. And this is the starting point for getting to the number 72.
This is where the mystical connection begins, according to the text. It links this 8-letter name to the number 72 through some symbolic calculations.
Okay, how does that work?
It connects IHDVNHY directly to the 24 thrones of the elders of the apocalypse.
Figures from the book of Revelation.
That's right. And the text adds the detail. Each elder wears on his head a golden crown of 3 rays.
3 rays on each crown. Okay.
Now, the source does a calculation. It says 8x3 yields the 24 thrones.
8 letters times 3 rays equals 24 thrones.
Right. And it connects that number 3 to the supernal triad, which likely points to the highest divine emanations in this system.
So 8 letters linked to 24 thrones via these 3 rays. But we need to get to 72.
Here's the next step in the text's logic. It says the number 24 of the thrones multiplied by the 3 rays of the crown, which equals 72.
So they use the 3 rays again. 24 thrones times 3 rays per crown gives 72.
Exactly. That's how this text says the name of God of 72 letters is mystically shown in the name YHVH. Through this specific chain, 8 letters minus 24 thrones minus 72 names.
It's an interpretive calculation embedded in symbolism.
Very much so. And the text immediately quotes Revelation to back this up. The bit about the 24 elders falling down and casting their crowns before the throne.
Right, using that image to ground the calculation.
And it offers an interpretation of that scene. It says the crowns each bear 3 of the 72 names.
So the names are on the crowns.
Apparently. And then it adds, and these 72 names are written on the leaves of the tree of life, which were for the healing of the nations.
Wow, okay, that's a major connection right at the start. The 72 names aren't just abstract. They're linked to cosmic elders, crowns, and the tree of life's healing leaves.
Directly for the purpose of healing the nations, it gives them immediate significance.
And it mentions Jacob's ladder briefly, too.
Yeah, it says these are the names of Jacob's ladder, hinting at that connection between heaven and earth and the angels involved, foreshadowing the angelic part.
Okay, so the core concept is 72 comes from YHVHADNI via this 8-letter name and the 24 elders crowns calculation, 8 by 3, 24, 24 by 3, 72 is the name. And these 72 names are powerful healing forces connected to the tree of life.
That's the foundation this source lays out, a packed symbolic beginning.
Okay, so that's the mystical math, the symbolic link to 72. But how does the text say you actually get the 72 specific names, the three-letter ones?
Right, it moves from the symbolic to the practical derivation, and it's very precise.
Where does it point us?
To the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verses 19, 20, and 21.
The Red Sea crossing narrative.
Exactly. The moment of divine intervention when the Israelites are trapped.
And what's special about those 3 verses in this system?
This is crucial. The source states that each of those 3 verses consist of 72 letters in the original Hebrew.
72 letters each.
That's the claim. So you have 3 lines, each 72 letters long. That's the raw material.
Okay. Can you give us the gist of those verses again as the source translates them?
Sure. Verse 19 is about the angel of God and the pillar of cloud moving from the front of the Israelites to behind them, acting as a shield.
Right, protecting them.
Verse 20 describes that pillar being darkness to the Egyptians but light to the Israelites, keeping the 2 camps separated all night.
A protective barrier.
And verse 21 is the famous part. Moses stretches out his hand, the song East Wind blows, the sea divides, and the waters become walls, creating dry land.
The parting of the Red Sea itself. Okay, 3 verses, 72 letters each. Now, how do you get names from that?
The text describes a specific method. You write the 3 verses at length, one above the other. Imagine 3 horizontal lines of Hebrew letters.
Stacked vertically. Got it.
Now, here's the unique part. The direction you read them, it specifies. Write the first from right to left.
Standard Hebrew.
And the second from left to right.
Wait, reversed.
Yeah.
Left to right for the middle verse.
Exactly. That's the key twist.
Okay.
And the third from right to left again.
So right to left to right to left, stacked.
Correct. And because each verse has 72 letters, when you stack them like this, it creates 72 vertical columns, each containing 3 letters.
Ah, I see. You read down the columns.
Precisely. The first column would be the first letter of verse 1, the last letter of verse 2, because it's reversed, and the first letter of verse 3. That 3-letter column is the first name.
And the second column is the second letter of verse 1, second to last of verse 2, second of verse 3.
You got it. You do that 72 times across the verses.
And that gives you 72 3-letter names.
Yes. The text concludes, each column will give a word of 3 letters, and there will be 72 names of 3 letters each, which are the Shem Ha-Mephoresch, or 72 names of the deity, expounding the powers of the name YHVH.
So the powers of God aren't just described in the story, they're literally encoded in the letters of those specific verses.
That's the profound idea here, according to this system, unlocked by this specific method. These 72 3-letter words are the names, embodying the powers of YHVH.
Scripture as a coded matrix of divine power. Fascinating.
He presents it exactly like that.
Okay, so we have the 72 3-letter names of deity derived from Exodus using that intricate method. What's the next step in the source?
The next step is forming the 72 angelic names from these deity names.
Ah, so the divine powers get personified, sort of.
Exactly. They're given angelic form. The process described is quite straightforward. It's done by adding suffixes.
Suffixes to the end of the 3-letter names.
Correct. The source specifies 2 suffixes and their meanings.
What are they?
The first is YH, derived from YHVH itself. Adding YH, the text says, signifies mercy and beneficence.
So some angels embody the merciful aspect.
Right. The second suffix is AL, which is a root from Elohim, another divine name. Adding AL signifies severity and judgment.
Okay, so the angels embody either mercy or severity. A clear distinction.
Yes. And the source points out the resulting length. Each angel's name containing 5 letters and each name of deity 3.
So the 3-letter deity name plus the 2-letter suffix makes a 5-letter angel name. Makes sense.
It also includes a short kind of cryptic quote here, and the name is in him, etc.
The name is in him. What do you think that implies?
Well, it seems to suggest that the essence of the divine name, or at least these aspects of mercy or severity, actually resides within the angel. They aren't just messengers. They carry or embody that specific divine power.
So the 72 angels are formed by taking the pure 3-letter divine power and qualifying it, giving it a function, mercy or severity through the suffix.
That's how the text presents it. A structured way divine attributes emanate into specific angelic forces, each carrying a facet of the divine name's power.
All right, 72 angelic names, 5 letters each. embodying mercy or severity. Where do they fit in the grand scheme of things, according to this document?
The source connects them directly to the cosmos, specifically through astrology and the zodiac.
Ah, I remember the mention of the zodiac earlier with the Tree of Life fruits.
Exactly. The text states, these 72 angels rule over the 72 quinances, or sets of 50 of the zodiac.
Quinances, sets of 50. That number seems off for dividing 360 degrees, doesn't it? 72 times 50 is way too much.
It does seem like a likely typo in the source text. Mathematically, for 72 divisions to cover 360 degrees, each needs to be 5 degrees. 72 times 5 is 360.
Right. 5-degree segments are often called quinances, so we should probably understand it as 72 angels ruling 72 5-degree segments.
That makes the most sense given the structure described. We'll proceed with that understanding while noting the text literally says 50.
Okay, so how do these 5-degree quinances fit into the usual zodiac signs?
The source explains that too. It says each decannate or set of 100 of a sign has 2 quinances.
Again, 100 must mean 10 degrees, right? A decannate is 10 degrees.
Almost certainly another typo. A 10-degree decannate logically contains 2 5-degree quinances.
Okay, so 2 quinances per decannate.
And then each sign has 3 decanates, which makes sense. 3 times 10 degrees is 30 degrees per sign, and 12 signs make the full 360.
So the structure is 5-degree quinance, ruled by an angel. 2 of those make a 10-degree decannate.
Which, the text notes, are allotted to the planets in regular order, though it doesn't list that specific order.
And 3 decanates make a 30-degree sign. So each angel has a very specific 5-degree slice of the sky.
Precisely. But there's more classification. They're also classed into 9 sets of 8.
9 groups of 8 angels. Why 9?
These 9 sets answer to the 9 choirs of angels, the traditional angelic hierarchies like seraphim, cherubim, thrones, etc.
Linking them to established angelic lore.
And there's an even broader grouping. They're divided into 4 great divisions of 18 each.
4 divisions. Why 4?
Because each division is under the presidency of one of the 4 letters of the name YHVH.
Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So the divine name itself organizes the angels.
Directly. And these 4 divisions, led by the letters of YHVH, are mapped onto the elemental triplicities of the zodiac.
Okay, how does that work?
The first division, under Yod Y, governs the fiery triplicity Aries, Leo, Sagittarius.
Makes sense. Yod is often linked to fire spirit.
The second division, under the first Hey H, governs the watery triplicity Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. The text specifically says it's headed by Cancer.
Often linked to water emotion. Okay.
The third division, under Vav, V, governs the airy triplicity Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, listed as headed by Libra.
Vav, often associated with air intellect.
And the fourth division, under the final Hey, H final, governs the earthy triplicity Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, headed by Capricorn.
The final Hey often linked to earth manifestation. This is incredibly structured.
It is, and the source emphasizes that the most powerful rule of each letter is over its matching elemental triplicity. So the angels are meticulously mapped onto the zodiac by degree, planet, choir, and the divine names, letters, and elements.
It's a complete system for divine governance of the cosmos through these 72 forces.
That's exactly how it's presented. Every moment, every point in space is under the influence of one of these specific angelic powers derived from YHVH.
Wow. Okay, this is very theoretical.
Mm-hmm.
Does the source give concrete examples of these angels?
Oh, absolutely. The document includes a detailed list for all 72. It's quite comprehensive.
What kind of details does it provide for each one?
For every single angel, it lists its unique name, the zodiac sign it rules, the specific 5-degree range within that sign, the planet associated with its decannate, a meaning given for the name, and a specific psalm or biblical passage linked to that meaning.
Okay, let's walk through a few to get a feel for it. Where does the list start?
It starts with the sign Leo. The very first angel is Vahoya.
Vahuya. Okay, what are its details?
Sign, Leo. Degrees, 0 to 5. Planet, Saturn. Meaning, God the Exalter.
God the Exalter.
And
the song.
Psalm 3, verse 4. And thou, 0 tetragrammaton, art a shield about me, my glory, and he who lifteth up my head.
Ah, he who lifteth up my head directly relates to Exalter. I see the connection.
Exactly. The second angel is Yellowiel.
Also in Leo.
Yes, degrees 5 to 10. Still under Saturn, so it's in the same decannate, meaning
Strength.
strength.
And the sun.
Psalm 22.20. And thou, tetragrammaton, be not far off, 0 my strength, to help me make haste.
Oh, my strength. Very direct again. Okay. Who's next?
Number 3 is Sechiel. Leo, degrees 10 to 15. Now the planet changes to Jupiter, indicating the next decannate.
Right. And the meaning?
Refuge, fortress, confidence. The psalm is 91.2. I will say unto Tetragrammaton, my refuge and fortress, my God, I will be confident in him.
Refuge, fortress, confident. It quotes the exact words. This pattern is very clear.
Extremely consistent. Let's do a couple more from Leo quickly. Number 4 is Angelamaya.
Leo 15:20, still Jupiter.
Correct, meaning concealed, saving, Psalm 6.5. Return 0 Tetragrammaton, deliver my soul, save me because of thy mercy. Connects to saving.
Got it. Number 5.
Mahaziah, Leo, 20 to 25 degrees. Now the planet is Mars, the third decanate, meaning seeking safety from trouble. Psalm 34.5. One sought Tetragrammaton, and he answered me, and out of all my fears, he delivered me.
Delivered from fears relates to seeking safety. Makes sense. And the last one in Leo.
Number 6, Leilahel. Leo, 25, 30 degrees, still Mars, meaning praiseworthy, declaring. Psalm 9.1. Sing songs unto Tetragrammaton who inhabiteth, show forth among the nations his deeds.
Singing psalms, showing forth deeds, connects to praiseworthy, declaring. Okay, I see the structure.
And this detailed pattern continues for all 72. Each angel gets a cosmic address, a meaning, and scriptural support, usually from the psalms mentioning Tetragrammaton.
Does it always use psalms?
Mostly, but not exclusively. Let's jump ahead, say, to Angel 70, Yevamaya.
Okay, Yebamiah. Where is this one?
Sign? Cancer. Degrees 1520, planet. Mercury, meaning producing by his word.
Producing by his word. What's the scripture?
Interestingly, it's Genesis 1.1. In the beginning, Elohim created the substance of the heavens and the substance of the earth.
Ah, the creation account. That clearly links to producing by his word. So he uses other passages when they fit the meaning better.
Exactly. The meanings themselves range widely to abstract concepts like strength or refuge, actions like turning away evil, titles like celestial king.
So the list provides a really granular breakdown of these 72 powers, their locations, and their supposed functions, all tied back to Scripture.
That's the essence of this section. A detailed mapping of divine power onto angels, cosmos, and text.
Let's go back to that tree of life connection you mentioned was brought up early on. The source revisits that.
Yes, explicitly. It circles back to the book of Revelation, chapter 22, quoting the description of the tree of life in the New Jerusalem.
The part about the fruits and the leaves.
Exactly. The tree of life which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And it also mentions the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it.
Okay, how does the text interpret this symbolically within its system?
It says the 12 manner of fruits correspond to multiple sets of 12. They answer to the signs of the zodiac.
We saw that connection.
And also to the 12 tribes of the sons of Jacob, and even to the 12 apostles.
So it sees these groups as parallel symbols, all linked to the tree's 12 fruits.
Right. But the crucial link, as highlighted before, is with the leaves. The text states, the healing leaves are those of Shem Ha-Mephoresch.
The 72 names are the leaves.
Or the divided name of Zower Anpin. The microprosopus, the Christ. The Lamb of Elohim whose throne is in the tree.
Whoa, that's packed. Let's unpack that. The 72 names leaves are equated with Zower Anpin, microprosopus.
Yes, those are Kabbalistic terms, often referring to the lesser countenance or the manifested knowable aspect of God as opposed to the utterly transcendent aspect.
And it equates that with the Christ, the Lamb of Elohim.
That's what the text explicitly states. It identifies the 72 names, the healing leaves, with this divine redemptive figure whose throne is within the tree itself.
So the 72 names are the substance or power of this redemptive force.
That seems to be the direct implication according to this source, and the symbolism deepens by connecting it to the biblical story of Jacob's family.
Yes, so.
First, numerically, it points out that Jacob's immediate family numbered 70 sons and grandsons who went to Egypt, but Jacob and Joseph equal 72.
Finding a precedent for the number 72 in the patriarchal narrative.
Exactly. Then it interprets the whole journey to Egypt symbolically. It says the 12 sons go down into the kingdom Malkuth.
Malkuth, the lowest sphere on the tree of life, often representing the physical world.
Right, but here described as destroyed in the fall and cut from the Sephirotic tree by the intersecting folds of the great dragon, who then becomes its ruler.
So Malkuth, the physical world, is seen as fallen, damaged, separated from the divine, and ruled by a great dragon.
That's the symbolic picture painted. Egypt is this fallen Malkuth ruled by the dragon, which it links to Pharaoh using a quote about the great dragon Tai lieth in the midst of the rivers.
So the journey to Egypt is symbolic of the divine lineage descending into this corrupted realm.
Precisely. And it highlights Joseph and his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who went down first. It says they balance each other in Chesed and Geburah.
Mercy and severity, the two pillars of the tree of life. So Joseph's line brings these balanced powers into the fallen world.
That's the idea. They are the first aspect of divine power, mercy, and severity combined to descend into this desolated earth.
And it connects Ephraim specifically.
Yes, to the cherubic sign of the ox. And it says the ox is the natural ruler of earth in Malkuth, under the power of H final of the holy name, the bride, Eve, and the queen.
Okay, that's dense. Ephraim ox, earth ruler in Malkuth, final H of YHVH wills feminine archetypes. Bride, Eve, queen.
It weaves all those symbols together, linking the tribe, the cherubic symbol, earthly rulership, a letter of the divine name, and feminine principles.
And the Shem Ha-Mephoresch, the 72 names, fit into this symbolic narrative.
They are the leaves of the tree, identified with Zower and Chrislam, numerically linked to Jacob's family, and their presence is relevant to this descent into dragon-ruled Malkuth Egypt.
Does it draw a contrast within this narrative?
Yeah. Yes. It contrasts the apocalyptic symbol of the lamb, which it associates with the Shem Ha-Mephoresch and Chesed, mercy, calling the lamb one opposed to the evil symbol of the dragon.
So the 72 names lamb mercy are the force opposing the dragon's rule.
Right, and it connects us to the Egyptian context, noting that every shepherd an abomination to the Egyptians.
Shepherds 10 sheep, lambs.
Who yet are friendly with the ox, the cherubic ruler of earth.
The ox representing Ephraim, who brought the balanced powers down.
So the source interprets a specific line from Genesis through this lens. When Jacob's sons tell Pharaoh their business has been about cattle, not sheep.
They're symbolically aligning themselves with the ox, Ephraim, balanced powers accepted in Malkuth, rather than the sheep lamb, Shem Ha-Mephoresch, the opposing force, which is an abomination to the dragon's realm.
That's the symbolic interpretation presented. It finds these deep layers of meaning in scriptural details, connecting them to the 72 names and the cosmic drama.
And it mentions an Edomite king, Hadar.
Yes, just notes that Hadar corresponds symbolically to the ruling pharaoh in this framework, reinforcing the idea that the biblical narrative is being read as a symbolic map.
So the 72 names are derived from Scripture, assigned to the cosmos, and woven into this symbolic story of divine interaction with a fallen world, representing a redemptive force against corruption.
It's a complex tapestry tying it all together through the 72-fold name, according to this source.
Okay, we've covered the derivation, the complex assignments, the really deep symbolism. So, based only on what this source tells us, what's the overall significance? What's the point of this whole system?
Well, fundamentally, the text presents the 72 names as expounding the powers of the name YHVH. They make the absolute divine name manifest and understandable in these 72 specific ways.
So understanding the divine power.
Yes, and understanding its action in the cosmos. The angels bearing these names rule the 72 divisions of the zodiac. So the system describes how divine power governs cosmic forces through these agents.
Divine governance.
And there's a strong redemptive quality. They are explicitly called the healing leaves of the tree of life, meant for the healing of the nations.
Healing and restoration, that seems key.
Very key. It connects to overcoming the curse and repairing the fallen state of Malkuth, the world. Their application seems tied to spiritual, maybe even physical, restoration.
And they embody those core attributes, mercy and severity.
Right, Chesed and Geburah. And they're embedded in that whole symbolic narrative about the fall into Egypt Malkuth, the dragon versus the lamb. Understanding the names seems crucial for navigating that reality.
Okay, that covers the broad significance. Does the source give any clues about how this knowledge might be used practically?
It gives one very specific, very revealing detail. It mentions that the seals of these are addressed to the Zealiter Adeptus Minor.
Seals. And Zealiter Adeptus Minor, that sounds specific.
It is. Zealiter Adeptus Minor is a grade title used in certain Western esoteric orders, like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. It refers to a specific level of initiation and training.
So this knowledge, including seals, which are probably symbolic diagrams or talismans for each name,
Likely.
isn't just general information, according to this source. It's part of a specific curriculum for initiates on a particular path.
That's what this detail strongly implies. The significance and application lie within a framework of practical, mystical, or magical work aimed at interacting with these divine and angelic forces as part of the training at that specific grade.
That really contextualizes the whole system presented in this document.
It does. It suggests a very specific intended audience and purpose.
So for you listening, The value here is getting this window into an incredibly intricate system from a specific tradition.
Right. A framework showing how YHVH's powers supposedly manifest as 72 angels map onto the cosmos, weave through symbolic narratives of fall and healing, and connect to practical spiritual work.
It really shows a worldview where divine structure, cosmic influence, scripture symbolism, and practical mysticism are all deeply interconnected through this concept of the 72-fold name.
A world where even the letters in Scripture hold encoded keys to divine power.
Wow, what a journey through this text. We went for the basic divine names, YHVH and AD and I.
Through that mystical calculation involving the 8-letter name, the 24 elders, their crowns, arriving at 72.
Then that incredibly precise method of deriving the 72 three-letter names from Exodus, using the alternating reading directions.
Right, turning Scripture into a matrix.
And how those become the 5-letter angelic names by adding YH for mercy or AL for severity.
Giving the powers specific qualities.
We saw the detailed assignment of these angels to the zodiac quinances, decanates, planets, organized by angelic choirs, and the letters of YHVH in the elements.
Like a complete cosmic map.
And finally, that incredibly rich symbolism connecting the 72 names to the Tree of Life's healing leaves. Zawir Ampin, the Christ, the Lamb.
And weaving it into that symbolic narrative of the fall, Egypt as Malkuth, the dragon, Ephraim as the ox, the contrast with the sheep lamb.
It's just layers upon layers of meaning, all presented within this one source. It's about this tradition-specific way of seeing it all connect.
Exactly. The derivation, the cosmic roles, the symbolic weight, and that hint of practical application for initiates.
It really offers a detailed look into a worldview where the divine is just intricately woven into everything. Text, numbers, stars, history, waiting to be decoded.
It does.
So here's a final thought, something to ponder, drawn from what we've explored in this source.
Okay.
What if the letters and verses in ancient texts aren't just stories or laws, but are, in some sense, the actual fabric encoding fundamental divine structures and powers?
Like the code itself is the power.
Yeah. What if these texts hold the healing leaves we talked about? Structures that can affect reality, just waiting for the right key, the right method, like the one this source describes, to unlock and expound them.
It definitely makes you think differently about the nature of sacred texts, doesn't it? About potential power hidden way beneath the surface meaning.
Exactly. A deep thought indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Shem Ha-Mephoresch, guided entirely by this fascinating source document.
Thank you for exploring this intricate system with us.